Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here at AMET. 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement and how to best prepare for retirement and how to best stay successfully retired. So retirement's something I'm looking forward to, but again, like we say, even if you're retired, stay active. And we're going to have a couple of guests that are going to talk just about that. Also, in regards to healthcare and some franchising, money-making activity items. So please call, email, or visit www.drheckham.com. That's DRHECM. Let me give that to you. All right, we looking good? And when you're there, there's a lot of articles there. There's ways to watch all of these shows. And I got my Dr. Heckham get-up today on, and I'm ready to write you a prescription for that home equity version. Be sure to jump over there, check the link, and a lot of other things there, separate pieces of the show, that whatever, a lot of professionally written information on the website. So my off-air number is 866-955-2233. And just so I don't forget it, it's 866-955-2233. Jot that down, whether you need it now, in the future. Because remember, we have a whole board of people who want to chip in, give you advice, and help. My day job is at the Loan Source. My NMLS lending number is 384-565, Department of Real Estate, 792-630. Again, I do not sell real estate, but I can hook you up with anybody you want to talk to regarding any of that. So we've got to put away some time for two different guests concerning healthcare and staying busy and possible business opportunity. So let's get right into some of the nostalgic. Today is National Newspaper Carrier Day. Now, I don't know how exciting that seems. I know Disney had a series of movies called Newsies or things like that, but the Sun, or the New York Sun newspaper, was the first newspaper ever to hire kids for selling newspapers, and it was also the first newspaper to hire reporters other than just waiting for people to call in with stories, which I guess is what they used to do. So the first real live newspaper boy was Barney Flaherty. Newsboys were those that yelled on street corners, and were many times they were poor and homeless. The older, what they called newsies, were tougher kids fighting to dominate a street corner for 30 cents a day. So as long as we're remembering back to the day, remember back in 2008 when thousands and thousands of older homeowners lost their homes because no such thing as forbearance, let alone help paying other bills. If they had a Heckham, they would probably not have lost their homes. Isn't it time at least just find out some information? And the number again to do that is 866-955-2233. It's just to ask me questions. It's just to talk about what it really is so that you've got the knowledge to move forward. So learn more how to protect what you already have. So, think more about healthcare and nursing homes. and think how to rebound from what we're going through right now. So call me, and you've got the number. And why should you call me? Because you need to know more about the choices you really have and how to protect what you already have. I have a team of experts that can and will help, so make use of us. Call me and I can direct you to anyone who you hear on the show and others. Or look for that YouTube channel because the contact and content information is always given on those videos. So remember, we believe in challenging the status quo, and families and people need to be active, not reactive. So, www.drhecm.com or the phone number 866 955 2233. And today we have some birthdays we want to honor. Edward Dmytryk, Dmtryk. I've seen that name since the beginning of time, but I've never been able to know whether I'm pronouncing it correctly or whether I am pronouncing it discorrectly. He's a film director who started as a messenger for $6 an hour, Hollywood at a studio. I forget which one, but he eventually progressed to editor, and at age 31 became a film director with such films as Murder My Sweet. Okay, let me show you Laserdisc version. I love this. It's film noir, of course, but it's film noir without the, film noir is classically supposed to have an unhappy ending, but this one particularly doesn't. One other thing about this is, since it really revitalized Dick Powell's career as an actor after so much singing and dancing. In fact, the original name for this was Farewell, of this movie, Farewell My Lovely, was changed because they didn't want the audiences or potential audiences to think it was just another Dick Powell musical. So this was also the first Philip Marlowe film, or the first film featuring Philip Marlowe as a main character. That was the Raymond Chandler character. So with that, we will remember too that there was a second one made with the original name. And then is Farewell My Lovely. And there is Farewell My Lovely. And that one it's also very, very good, I thought. And it's with Robert Mitchum, who I think is also very, very good. But I've shown you this before. Robert Mitchum sings Calypso, okay? You got that? Don't miss out on that, okay? Look for it. Look for it on Amazon. It may be worth listening once, I'm not sure, but so be it. Crossfire is another one that was directed. And this is with the 3 R's, Robert Young, Robert Ryan, and Robert Mitchum. Again, this is a great movie. A really great movie. It was up for Best Movie of the Year. It was up for Best Director, this, that, and whatever. And it has a lot to do with, let's just say there's a lot today going on that this would definitely relate to, and I'll leave it at that. But another great film. Also, if you want to look at, he also did Kane Mutiny with Humphrey Bogart and Raintree County. And I got to check something on this computer monitor here. It's going crazy. And Okay, that fixed that. Raintree County, the Carpetbaggers, and for honorable mention today, let's just remember it's Mitzi Gaynor's birthday, and she popped in 1931. Michael Keaton's birthday, and he popped in 1951. And thought he was great in that Bird, what was it, Birdman? Whatever. Anyway, one of the very first appearances of Michael Keaton was on Mr. Roberts' Neighborhood. Raquel Welch was also born tomorrow, but she's a little up front, so we'll go a day ahead. And here is my wife's famous autograph with Raquel, and I don't know how many years ago, not that many.
So, well, quite a few. It was at Nordstrom's.
Yeah, at Nordstrom's. She was signing stuff, and it had to do with one of her products, I believe. She starred her first, I think, film was with Hammer Films, and the film was 1 million BC, and she had 3 lines in it. I wonder why she didn't need more lines. But she did have 3. This is an old, this has to do with Fantastic Voyage. I think it's an Italian poster card. It's, like I said, a German poster card. And speaking of Fantastic Voyage, Guillermo del Toro is on tap for a remake of that. So there. So please remember that in this uncertainty, we need to stabilize our environment, meaning it's time to empower our environment for now and for the future. Uncertainty out, peace of mind, and something you can count on always being there for you. That should be here, that should be in all the time. Remember that a home equity conversion mortgage means you are only giving your equity liquidity. You are not taking money unless you want to. You don't pay for that money unless, that is, there's no interest on it, unless you actually take it. Sometimes people actually make payments. In fact, my wife and I were talking about that because, you know, we have a reverse mortgage, and we were just contemplating between that and other investments because you get such a good return on untaxable money when you take out that it may be just a good idea to put some money back into the house, because every penny, when you have a HECM, every penny, whether it is principal or whether it's interest, goes into the line of credit. And remember, that line of credit continues to grow continuously. It is not based on the amount or the value of your home or anyone else's homes. It goes up in general with interest rates. So it's a great hedge against higher interest rates, because if we get higher interest rates, maybe home sales will slow down, but your line of credit will grow that much faster. And it will continue to grow even if your property value goes down. Therefore, it's a hedge against that also. I can't think of anything better. I mean, I can't think of a better loan that was ever invented, nor a safer loan. And yes, there's a stigma about it that has to do with the past, but the past is over. And I won't disagree with what anybody may have to say about that past and what they've heard about it back 30 years ago or whatever, but any of those negative things do not exist today. The property stays in your name, goes to your heirs. They get all of the equity, etc., etc. But what happened on this day in history? George Eastman received a patent on this day in 1988 for the first roll film camera, and registered the name Kodak, bringing photography to the mainstream. Now, I always thought that Kodak was a partner of his or something, I don't know. But no, George picked the name Kodak because he thought that the letter K was like the strongest letter in the alphabet and brought up a name that started and ended with K. So there you have it. And I've got, just for the heck of it, I thought I'd show you. Here's a photography magazine from what year?
1942.
1942. I wasn't even here yet, okay? 1942.
A tiny little Kodak.
Now, there's a lot of Kodak cameras out there, but I'm going to show you the one that I remember the most from when I was a little boy. This thing. I remember pushing this button as a little boy so many times. I can't believe. I mean, it really is. We dug this out, and this just means so much to me. And of course, my wife's a photographer, so we do have a small collection of old cameras. But this one is the one that gets to me. So there. And also, just so you know, the first waiterless restaurant in the United States, or we'll call it a cafeteria, the first cafeteria opened in the United States, opened up across from the New York Stock Exchange, and it was called, guess what? The Exchange. And the most popular lunch was ham on rye with coffee for 35 cents. I'm going to try to show you a couple of pictures. We'll get up close. There's a picture of the exterior. Hopefully you can see. And this one's really tough. It's small, but it's a really cool picture with the sign in the background. I don't know. I don't know if it'll show up, but it's worth a try, I think. Okay. And also, just to let you know, when you grab your ham on rye, that does sound good. We like a little cheese on it too. Dragnet, the movie, was released in 1954, directed by Jack Webb, who was a huge jazz lover with over 6,000 jazz recordings. Now, I have about 8,000, 33s, but they're not all jazz. So I wanted to show you a couple of things. Let's start with this one. I love this record. I've got about 3 copies of it. I don't know where they all are. But, this one says, it's like almost perfect condition. Okay, I love that and the music from it. They came out with another one with some more vocals for Pete Kelly's Blues. And that's right there.
And he did play the trumpet.
And he did play trumpet and that kind of thing, but... And then just to kind of go with the collection of all of those things, there's a album with a lot of the music from those TV shows and that kind of thing. And remember, we talked about how the music was borrowed for Jack Webb and for Dragnet from the other films we talked about last week. So I'll tell you what, please don't go away, because we're going to be back in just a little bit with our 2 guests. And our 2 guests are going to be very, very informative about healthcare, number 1, about possible franchising and staying busy. And remember, you can join the conversation and call in live and speak to these people. 951-922-3532, or as Sean would say it, 951-922-3532. And all of the lines are open, as he also says. So take care, hang in there, and we'll be back in a minute. Well, hello again. Welcome back to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET. And like I said earlier, we have got a couple of great guests, both, as Ron Siegel, who's also on this network, would say, repeat offenders. And Randy Clarito,
Yes.
and Belina Calderon. I think I'm pronouncing it. There's a middle name too, but I'll let them do that because they can pronounce that better than I can. You know, I'm lucky to pronounce anything. But anyway, I think you may, if you remember, you may remember that these people have been here before talking about healthcare. We have One Heart Caregiving. Now, this is an in-home care service,
Yeah.
which is, of course, very, very popular and becoming more popular all of the time. So it's something you really need to get interviewing people like Belina right now because you never know when you'll need it. And we don't want your loved ones, if at all possible, we don't want them in a nursing home. We want them at home. And in order to do that, they very well may need help at home. You know, even me, a young kid in my mid 70s, had gone through that, disease thing I went through for almost 3 months, and I needed help at home. So everybody is going to need some kind of help at some time. It may start off really small and then get bigger and bigger, but you've got to know who it is you're dealing with. And with that, let's introduce Belina, and she is actually the founder and CEO of One Heart Caregiver Services. So I'll let her take it away and she can tell you some more about herself, and then we can get into some more questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Jay, and thank you for inviting us again into your show here. It's always a pleasure. Well, let me tell you a little bit about how we started the One Heart Caregiver Services company. I actually immigrated to the United States back in 1991, a long time ago. And after 13 years of working for my employer, which was a cellular phone company, I opened up my own business, which was an employment agency that specialized in placing skilled international workers or professionals with companies here in the LA County. And shortly after that, my clients started asking me for nannies and caregivers. And when the calls started to increase significantly, I realized that there was a huge market for in-home care, that I decided to open another company in Beverly Hills back in 2004 that specialized in providing caregivers to
Can you imagine how much more popular that is and more in demand it is now, with so many more of us oldies now than there were then?
Yes, that's true.
And it's said that us older population in the not that distant future is going to double in size.
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah, and we have like another 20, 30 years to look into this business actually. So the income potential, like you said, the income potential was actually one of the things that really motivated me to start the business 16 years ago. But what really inspired me to continue the business was the feeling that I got, meeting our first client of being able to give back to my mom the care and attention and presence that I wasn't able to give her when I left the Philippines to live here back in 1991. You see, when I left the Philippines, my mom was growing old and she got sick with cancer. And for 5 years, she actually needed a caregiver, but I couldn't go there. It's 7,000 miles away, so I couldn't take care of her. Just be there. It was mostly phone calls. So I really felt bad about that. But when I first started doing the caregiving, and I met older people that, especially this old lady, the first client that we had, I felt like it was my way of giving that care and attention that I wasn't able to give to my mom. So that continues until today. That's why we, if you look at the mug that you were using, it says caring like family. We do care for our care recipients, like family.
Yeah, and that makes, there's not that many. I think my profession makes me feel good about what I do for people. But not all professions do that. and yours probably is number one on the top of the list of a kind of profession where you feel you're giving back and you're actually helping so much. So, what exactly, for people who aren't familiar with One Heart Caregiver Services, what exactly, dig in, drill in a little more. What do you do in relation to your clients?
Yeah, so we actually provide non-medical in-home care. So what that basically means is help with activities of daily living, like meal preparations. We do companionship. We help them with, if they need help transferring from bed to wheelchair, for showering, for eating, ambulation, walking. A lot of it is just being there, just being a companion to the elderly.
Right. And, sometimes families try to do that for each other, but I can imagine that gets really, really old and tiresome. Even though you may love your mother, your mother-in-law, being a caregiver and trying to work yourself and other things, that's a little bit too much.
Right.
And even when they are doing it, they need relief sometimes from people like yourself, right?
Correct. Yes.
So how would you actually separate yourself, say, from other companies? Because there are some other companies that do this. We see them advertised on television. We see, the gambit, including really inexpensive this and that, which I don't trust. But, how would you say that One Heart is different from most of those other companies?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'm really proud of with our company, One Heart, is that when we say we care like family, we mean it and we do it. One of the things that we are proud of is that we make sure that the caregivers that we send out to the families to take care of their parents are fully trained and vetted by us. So we do have probably the only company that I know here that actually really has a caregiver university where we train our caregivers in-house. And right now, of course, we're doing the online training, but we've never stopped that. Also, for our staff, we make sure that they're equipped with all the skills and the knowledge
Right.
to help out our care recipients.
So this is a lot different than finding a caregiver on Craigslist, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
You've got people who know what they're doing
That's
and have
correct.
been trained to, no matter what happens, that
Yes.
they kind of know how to deal with it, including Alzheimer's, everything like that, because so many people deal with that incorrectly and lose their patience
Correct.
in more than one way. I mean, more than one type of patient, they lose them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also one of the other things I want to point out, we are actually a home care organization which is licensed by the state of California, and all our caregivers are our employees. So we are responsible for our caregivers as well as the care recipients. There's so many agencies out there that offer lower rates, but they're actually referral agencies that basically just give you a caregiver who's not their employees. So the families are actually the ones who are the employers. So that takes a lot of responsibility, as far as the family is concerned.
Yeah, and second of all, you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
And then first of all, I would assume if there are tax ramifications for those employees, now you've got a family that's worried about their elderly people. And on top of that, now they have to worry about whether they're hiring the right one, whether they're paying their taxes or whatever.
Correct.
So stay away from that, right?
Correct. Yes.
I mean, especially if you want your people to be in good shape. And how's the company and all your franchisees? I say that because I know you've got lots of branches, but they're independently owned, which is something we'll get into a little bit later here when we talk about opportunities. But how are they coping with the COVID pandemic? I hope they're coping better than I am.
Well, actually, initially when the COVID pandemic started, it was kind of scary for all businesses, but for us as well, because a lot of facilities actually closed their doors to vendors, including us, and the caregivers that we already had there who were taking care of specific people or residents had to be taken out of the facility because they didn't want outsiders, to work within the facility. But within shortly after that, actually, I think families realized that their mom or their dad still needed the care, like a one-on-one care of caregivers. So they brought us back in. Not all caregivers were brought back in from other agencies, but because they trusted us, they actually called us back in. And right now, what we made sure, and even until now, what we made sure was that all our caregivers were equipped with the proper PPEs. So we supplied that to all our caregivers just to make sure that, when they get in, they're protected as well.
Good for you. Now, we've already kind of talked about the huge need for a company like yours or for people like you. But, just to drive that home more, I think, what is there, 10 billion people in this country turning 65 every year? Maybe it's 1,000 instead of billion, but still. There's
80 million.
I mean, it's incredible. And not all of them, are going to be independent. Not all of them are, well, let's just say some of them are going to live a long time. More and more, they're living longer. And I'll tell you, the longer you live, sometimes the more help you need. I talked to two different clients today, both out of state, and they both had these conditions. One was a leg condition I never had heard of that needs pumping every now and then or whatever. That's hereditary in somebody else, and they all have caregivers that take care of them so that they can live a normal life.
Right.
So I don't think there's a bigger need for any single product out there. I mean, food in general is important, but other than that, I think, so, as far as your brand, and let me hold up your brand here because I've heard of your brand for a very long time, and I think a lot of other people have too. But, what do you think is driving the growth of One Heart, of your brand specifically?
Well, I think what really drives the growth of our brand is the people and the process that we have in our business. First, let me explain about the people that we have. Here, with One Heart, we work, employees, staff, executives, everyone works not just as a team, but we treat each other as family. So it's also about the culture. I think that's one of the best things that's happening within the company that's driving us to grow. Everybody's just shooting for the same goal, and everybody wants to adheres to our.
And of course, you have to have a reputation, or you wouldn't be growing.
Exactly. Yes.
And that reputation has to be very good because it's such an important topic.
Yes. So as you mentioned, we have grown out there, and our name has grown out there because people trust us, because we make sure that we adhere to our core values of being professionals or professionalism, integrity, and excellence in our work.
Right. And I can't tell you how important that is.
Right.
So you've talked a few times about the culture of your company and how it supports the success of your franchisees. So I won't ask you to repeat that again, although you certainly can, because it's always good to hear. But let's expand a little on your franchisees, or branch owners, as they were. That's pretty much what they are, right? There's branches, and each one is pretty much independently owned, but operated under the umbrella of and the support of One Heart Central, correct?
That's correct.
So they're continuously, everybody in the franchises, every single one of them they're meeting each other, they're getting to learn from each other, and they can all take those classes, correct?
Yes, I think Randy can expound more on that. We actually had our roundtable discussion yesterday, just hearing from everyone else and getting information from them, brainstorming about what we need to do, what's happening in their areas. But I'm sure Randy can also expound that.
Well, roundtables are good. I used to be a lot more round myself, I lost 65 pounds during
Good
this.
for you.
No, this was because of the pancreatitis. It's not the right way to lose, okay?
Yeah.
but at least I've lost it. So I am no longer old, fat, and ugly. I'm just old and ugly. But fat has been taken care of, at least for now. So before we move over to Randy, because I know Randy always has something to say. Belina, is there anything else that you'd like to add? And of course, you're staying in the conversation, so definitely chip into whatever Randy and I are talking about. And Randy and I can get easily sidetracked about food and restaurants and things like that too. So you need to keep us in line, all right?
Sure. Yeah. I'll listen in to you guys and I'll butt in if I need to.
Yeah. Now feel free to butt in. And anybody else out there, remember, can easily butt in also. That phone number is 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532. If you have any questions about these people, or if you want to just contact them directly. Before we go on to Randy, Belina, why don't you give out the information if anybody is interested, and we'll have Randy talk about the franchise phone numbers and contact. But for anyone who's interested in getting help for their family members, how do they go about contacting One Heart?
Well, actually, they can just give us a call at 818-906-4441, or they can actually go online and just type in number one and then heartcares.com, oneheartcares.com.
Can you repeat that phone number one more time?
Phone number is 818-906-4441.
Thank you very, very much. And Randy.
Yes.
Randy, on the other hand, is Vice President of the Department of Franchise Development. Now we'll let it go for him in just a second here, but we have spoken so many times about how healthy it is to stay active. Now, this message, Randy's going to talk to everybody, even a 21-year-old who may want to become a franchise owner. But I'm going to talk specifically right now, real quick, to us oldies. And when you're retired, the last thing you want to do is just sit around.
Right.
Consider a franchise like this or anything that you get excited about, something that's going to bring back a lot of reward to you, as we discussed a little bit before with Belina. So, Randy, go ahead and tell us somewhat about yourself first, and then we'll get into what you're actually doing.
Yeah. Yes, I'm Randy. I've had 38 years of healthcare experience, so that's long years that I was able to get fulfillment going into the home care business side of it and franchising. And the reason being is, we get fulfillment while we serve with integrity, and we are able to help as many seniors as we are.
I like that word fulfillment when it goes connected.
During the time that we're starting it many years ago, we thought of how can we really expand services to seniors all across different states. So we thought about the franchising, which is also my background. So we're able to start franchising business because there are executives and entrepreneurs who wanted to be on their own, to work on their own. So this COVID pandemic allowed work from home. So this gives some executives, also workers, mimicking how it is to become like a business person, staying at home while doing your personal and professional work. So more and more, many people realize that, hey, this is something that's good because you have control on your time, you're working from home, but at the same time, you're with your family and enjoying the comforts of staying in your home, not anymore driving. So this more like allows them to see, and also with the 30 million unemployment right now, so there's really a big opportunity to see that there is something out there that you can do on your own, get fulfillment, and at the same time serve your local community, the seniors. Right. You provide jobs, and at the same time achieve your financial dream. So we're saying our mantra is service with integrity and profit with honor.
So you're saying that a lot of people in the regular job market or executives are actually leaving those jobs to
Yeah.
look at or embrace some of the franchise opportunities.
Yes, because franchising is still considered the most successful and efficient distribution and marketing system in the world. So
Well,
it's
yeah,
still
wow.
it's close to $1 trillion industry altogether. McDonald's, uh, Starbucks, One
One
Heart.
heart.
So altogether, we're nearing the trillion market.
Yeah,
It's
I was
global.
going to ask you to expand a little bit about why franchising is so popular, but you're doing that right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the market is brand driven, Jay. Whatever you drink, coffee, everything, wherever you go, it connotes it's brand driven. The market is brand driven, and because it connotes quality. If it's a service, it connotes professionalism, excellence, and really, integrity
Yeah.
as well. So it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. And we all feel we need integrity, and we need to show integrity.
Yeah,
And
sure.
this is such an easy way, a good way to do it. Because if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. If you do it right, it's nothing but integrity. And
Correct.
that integrity is going to give back to you so much, as you would say, fulfillment.
Yes.
So, what kind of training would somebody need before they can get into, well, franchising in general, or your kind of, or a One Heart franchise? Do they need to have any kind of a background or jobs that they have performed in the
Uh,
past?
We have the beauty of a non-medical home care business is we have franchisees who are non-healthcare people, which
Oh,
means
sure.
which means the system allows them to be able to follow a business model that our company has built over the years, because we run our own corporate locations as well. So we have proven and tested marketing programs, campaigns, case management, and other services. So the training that we do is our CEO and myself are co-founders of the One Heart Business Academy. So it's a continuing professional education, just like doctors, engineers, nurses. So we have developed, created, and designed training modules and programs that will allow franchisees to be able to follow a business model, a system, process. So it's continuing. There's phase one, phase two, and there's business coaching, there's field coaching. So the moment that COVID attacked the USA, our CEO gathered together all of the franchisees, and we conducted an education campaign how to really go about this kind of pandemic period.
Well,
So
educate me as to when it's going to be over.
uh, it may be there. It's like an influencer, Jay.
Yeah.
We're being introduced to a new normal. So there's going
Yeah.
to no going back to the normal. So it's a new normal. We'll be able to, it also teaches us like hygiene, hand washing.
Yes,
Take-
it does.
doing.
Yes. And mask wearing, because when I wear a mask, I look so much better.
and, and, and wellness program as well. Remember, Jay, it is in your show that we declared that our healthcare industry is defective. It focuses on illness. One Heart
That's absolutely true.
One Heart focuses on wellness. So what this pandemic teaches us is for us to be able to have well-being, wellness in ourselves, a stronger immunity system. So that's something that gives us the realization that, hey, this is something that really we should be doing. And that's the kind of help that we've been doing in the senior community, not just providing the care services, but rather wellness. We're wellness advocates, me and our CEO, Belina. So we're happy.
Wellness is
Keeping up
such
with
an
the-
important factor because, just going to the doctors regularly,
Correct.
they're trying to maintain what they see, but there's so much they don't see.
Yeah.
And when I went to the emergency room because of the pancreatitis, they found a couple of other things that are wrong with me that really need to be looked at.
Yes.
And if I hadn't had all those CAT scans and MRIs, they wouldn't know about it. So yeah, that's a whole different subject. But getting ahead of these things is so important, and being healthy to fight these things off, and sometimes you need to eat more often, and sometimes you can't do that unless you have a caregiver in your home with you for meals and just about everything else. Now, you did mention training, and Belina mentioned a lot of training. She mentioned a lot of training for the caregivers themselves.
Yes.
But I think you were hinting about training for the franchisee
Yes.
people also, because they don't need a lot of experience in healthcare should they decide to go with you, because you can provide that.
Yes. And there are several components in the business side. It's a sales and marketing, operations, and finance. So this is something that's very solid. Over the years, we've mastered how we will be able to be efficient and have some organizational effectiveness. And that is something that we replicate to all franchise locations. So it's not easy, but when you follow the model and listen to the leadership, then that's something that would make you easier.
So you're always there to back up your franchisees
Yeah.
and their people,
Yes.
as we discussed before. So we've talked about how good the franchisee market is, and we talked with Belina about why One Heart brand is better than the others. Let's talk about what makes One Heart the best, or one of the best franchisee opportunities.
That it's proven that over the years there are a couple of parameters that you need to do when you go into a business. It's attractive business, sustainable, and right now it should be COVID pandemic proof and recession proof. So the senior care is going to be there for the next 30 years. So
I like the way you put that. Say that again, because it's one thing to be COVID-19 proof,
yes,
but recession proof, you are so,
yeah,
you need to say that again.
we are a recession proof business. Since 2008 and 2009, our CEO and myself has been there developing a model and adapted to the changing market. So the business expertise is somebody who needs to be able to adapt to the changing market. So even right after recession, after 3 years, we reached our peak in our revenue performance. So that is something that we pass on to the franchisees. And then after about another 3 more years, we reach another peak. So we continue to enhance the system, the program, so that year after year we'll be able to see growth. And that's what we're doing with the franchisees. We review their performance, we see how they're doing, and see how they're
and you're there to help, right?
Yes, as elder care advisor. So once you become a real good elder care advisor in your local community, the good business will follow. That's something that you put your heart into the business, and business into your heart.
You mean One Heart into the business?
Yeah.
Huh?
Put One Heart into your business.
Yeah.
It's like we don't want them to work in One Heart. We want them to work on One Heart.
Right. All right.
That's big difference.
And if someone is interested in speaking with you, or looking to receive more information about this franchise opportunity, how would they go about doing that?
The first step, easy step, is to go over our website, the oneheartfranchise.com. There's a downloadable franchise kit. It's a 45 pages kit that will be able to educate them, very informative. If not, I can do a one-on-one Zoom meeting or
both. Yeah.
Our number is 844-814-3278. It's 844-1-HEART, which is 844-814-3278. They can email me to randy@oneheartcares.com. So I'm available 24/7. As I always say every time I lecture, Jay, for the guys, they can call me Randy. For the girls, they can call me anytime. So
yeah.
you can call me this number.
I'm watching your boss's face there to see the CEO. Anyway, yeah, the CEO will call her. We don't want you. So give out Well, I'm going to ask you another question, and then we'll go back to the contact info one more time. But what systems and technologies have developed to support your franchisees, or is some of that just what you guys have developed, or it is
Yes.
in general
We have
proprietary,
used a
I
third
should say?
party also, but we develop and enhance. So it's a technology platform. As I said, we adapted the changing market when technology is already very useful now. So we have a technology platform that franchisees can use from scheduling, staffing, sales and marketing, the CRM, finance, accounting system. So the three components that I mentioned are all together in there so that they'll be able to see
And
progress.
they don't need to be a technical whiz to do that,
It's
right?
going to be in their phone. It's going to be in their cell phone. So for them to be able to monitor all the
1 minute.
departments.
1 minute.
Okay.
So we have just 1 minute left, but I've really enjoyed it, and I thank you both very, very much. So, Belina, one more quick time, the number for healthcare services.
Well, they can call us at 818-906-4441. 818-906-4441. There you go. They can call us on that number if they need any help.
And Randy, one more time with your phone number for franchise help.
For franchise is 844-814-3278.
And
844-814-3278.
And we'll have to say thank you to everyone who's listening. Thank you to Sean. My boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. You remember that one? And then Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar next week. Thank you so much. Have a great week and try to stay cool.
Thank you, Jay.
Bye-bye.